Waiting for the system to go live, and we are live! Hello, everybody! Gao! Basically, yeah. Thought this would be worth it, even though it's a partial remodel of the original release of this. The final one of the Gaoranger line, which we did a stream on a couple months ago for Icarus/Kentaros, and we really enjoyed doing that.
Yep. I beat you in building both of them. I had experience building Icarus, but I didn't have experience building Gao Lion.
And I was doing a bit more for Gao Lion, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as we discussed before, I freaking love the Gaoranger toy line, so them doing these more recent SMP model kits with the actual... They still match the numbering, 96, 97, 98, 99, and 100.
Yeah.
Because GaoGod's component pieces are canonically those numbers for the power animals, and, like, the first 18 were the first numbered, and then numbers 19 through 95 are all extra canonical, which I have been working to fill out on my own.
Yep. DJ Toku says, a god among beasts. Shame his human form is as dumb as they get.
Yeah, you can. They even have the parallel numbering. Like, Gao Lion is numbered 1, and Gao Leon still has all the number 1 parts. There are a few mimicry parts in here which have the right numbering, but you kind of saw that coming for an extent, and to an extent. So I just gotta figure out which is 96 is Leon. I kind of wish they had done the standard mini Pla boxes for these, because that's the one thing I dislike about the P Bandai SMPs. Is like they don't have the candy toy boxes to match everything up.
Like it kind of makes it more organized that way. Like,
yeah, it's like not a knock to the plastic packaging in concept. I just like the better organization those supply. Plus, if you're going to buy the pieces separate, it allows for easier execution of that. At least since I built this the base pieces of this kit twice, it shouldn't take us that long.
Right. Like, eventually you're going to be able to do this in your sleep.
Pretty much.
Desmond Malone in the chat said Gao God.
Oh no, we're doing that joke. We are totally doing that joke. I mean, he is the original Gao.
Gao.
I am almost dead certain that's what ended up happening with Bandai and Toei when they were workshopping names for Gaoranger.
We're just doing Gao God on this stream, correct?
Yeah, we're just doing Gao God.
Yep, because HA5s was asking if we were doing that Alphamon, or just the Gao God.
Yeah, no, we're not doing the Alphamon, and thank you for actually seeing my Twitter post on that when I showed off all that other stuff I got in before Gao God.
Yeah. This is just a nice, casual, chill build stream, you know?
Especially since we can't exactly do more Resident Evil, because it's John's turn, and John is in DC right now.
Yeah.
Seeing his mom. So this time it's because, you know, she's moving, and it's the last chance for him and his family to all be in the house they grew up in.
And to be fair, if he only has ever known that one house, then, like, it makes sense.
Yeah, whereas Alexis and I have moved to multiple places throughout our lives. Like, I can't remember after I moved out of the first house that I lived in, I can't remember a stretch of 4 years where I was not in a different location. Depending on whether my dad was moving places until he eventually settled down the same house he's been in for like 20 years, or my mom just shifting places because of work.
Yeah, I've been in, I want to say, 3 houses in my life. Yeah, that sounds about right. One was, I grew up in, I have vague memories of like one when I was like a really small kid. I can't remember much about that house. But then the second place we lived in for the longest time was like a 2-floor duplex kind of thing. Where,
oh yeah, I've lived in those.
Like where the first floor was almost like its own mini house / apartment.
Yeah.
And then one above that was its own mini house / apartment.
Oh yeah, I lived in one of those too for a bit. And you saw my aunt's place. She owned one of those and was the top tenant.
Mm-hmm. And then the final house was the one that you visited.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually trying to remember all the places. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You've been all around the place.
7, 8, 9, 10 different houses, and if we count the 2 apartments we were in, that's a total of 13 different places throughout my life.
Like, that's kind of insane. I don't know if I could handle that emotionally, to be honest. Like,
a few of those weren't even for a year, just a few months before we got more permanent housing.
Yeah, but it's still like a lot to like take in, never being able to feel like you can settle down in a place for long, you know?
Yeah, but that's why I couldn't exactly connect as well to John's strong feelings of living in the same house all his life until he came out here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, gonna read off some stuff from the chat. Dustin Simino. They caught the Illumination Mario movie trailer. Jack Black currently killing it as Bowser, but they need to hear more of Pratt as Mario before coming to a conclusion.
I was kind of in the same place, because what little we heard of Pratt in the trailer, it's not
indicative of
a good performance or indicative of a good representation of what he'd actually end up doing. Like, I hear a bit of an accent, so it's more than Chris Pratt usually does. Mm-hmm. But Jack Black, thanks to all the animated stuff he's been in, has actual experience as a voice actor, which I think is a lot of people's sticking point on this, especially these days, in that Hollywood needs to stop doing this with high-profile, big-budget movies. You can pay voice actors who are professional voice actors to do these things and actually get a better performance than the live actors do expressions. They're not as great with doing the voiceover stuff. This is not an absolute, of course. Robin Williams as Genie hit every nail.
Well, and actually, it's funny you bring that up because supposedly during the recording of Aladdin, Robin Williams was actually kind of nervous about being casted as Genie because while it was amazing for the role, his fear was that Hollywood wouldn't see the talent that he was putting into the performance. They would just think, oh, we need to get like a high-profile celebrity to voice a funny character, and that's all you need.
And then that's the actual thing that damned it. So right. Yeah, fair enough. To double up on that problem, it's like, for a few years, they would in a lot of movies would do comedic sidekicks, not realizing that the comedy of Genie as a sidekick was just the person who was cast in the role.
Right, like Robin Williams giving his, putting his all into his role like he always does,
Yeah, but it was, again, it's different from just casting a celebrity as a voice actor there, as he put in the effort to actually do the job correctly.
Right, like, it kind of says something that the only person that they could get to emulate his voice was Dan Castellaneta.
Yeah, and that was more my emphasized point that Robin Williams actually did the job of a voice actor. A lot of these others they keep doing do not.
Yep.
Like Colleen Clinkenbeard in the Sonic movie, full on voice actor normally, did the job of voice actor. Was awesome for it. Got credited for it. Finally. Which is all we really wanted because we emphasized that we wanted that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Going down the list. Romanoff in the chat. Yo, Shinta, have you heard Mazinger Zero is getting a Mazinger Infinity kit? We are aware of that.
I've had it on pre-order for months.
Yep. I think they're a newer person in the chat. I don't recognize that name, so that's probably why they were asking.
Yeah. We're aware of it. I'm ordering it. It'll be showing up with Dan of Thursday in January, depending on release dates.
I really wish I could have gotten the pre-order on that.
And we'll find one of that for you too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see here. Media Hood reviews thinks they lived in 13 or 14 houses their whole life, including 2 in London. So like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cubase stand or Dom. Do you like Gaoranger as a show?
Gaoranger is all right. Like it has some high points. It definitely has some low points. I honestly think that despite me building GaoGod, that I feel like a lot of the GaoGod arc is not good. It's like it emphasizes the wrong points. Yes, it's a test at the end, but you know it's easy to misinterpret the entire arc because of just we've been following the characters. A lot of Gaoranger strengths were also put into Wild Force, give or take. Differences in adaptation and English censorship standards. So there are tangible differences. They did do a few nice things originally, including the stuff with Cole, but it's Wild Force is definitely one of the more direct adaptations. So if you find merit in Wild Force, you're likely to find merit in Gaoranger, just taken to more extremes, and with, of course, different lore involved. Because a lot of Wild Force was written by a fan that was trying to better tie lore together, which ended up damning later Power Rangers adaptations because, ignorance of lore, and while still trying to count it. Which, honestly, credit... I'm forgetting the guy's name off the top of my head.
What is it? Was it Zacher?
No, Zacher was the producer who only cared about the Sentai stuff. I'm talking about the guy who was writing on the show that actually cared about Power Rangers lore.
Yeah, I'm forgetting their name too.
Yeah, he was part of that fan hoax and wasn't exactly intending to include that in canon, but people took that as an interpretation due to some of the things that were written into Forever Red.
Mm-hmm. I know who you're talking about.
I cannot remember. Mick Balmick, that's it.
Yeah, that's who it was, yep.
Yeah, it's like, he was not a bad writer. He was trying to stay consistent with that, but I think some of his opinions and perspectives on the show were a bit flawed, and so direct adaptation versus trying to stay consistent with what Power Rangers did, that's a bit of a discourse with the whole series.
Alrighty.
But yeah, Gaoranger is fine. Ironically, the Shout Factory DVD set is funny because if you look at the pictures on the inside of the box art, you see images from the movie that they did not license. It's like, it kind of just goes back to my thing about Shout Factory's laziness in how, wow, you got this series, and you clearly, whoever is working on this project doesn't really know that much about what actually is in the content of it, and mainly just Google searched a bunch of images. There's no way in the content they had from the series would have given them images from the movie.
Scrolling up for a second, I just wanted to point out this comment that I liked from Desmond Malone. Bowser felt the thunder.
Oh, yeah. I think the Mario movie will be watchable because of Jack Black.
He's gonna carry that movie. Let's be real here. Like, no matter what how Chris Pratt sounds, Jack Black's just gonna single-handed, like, with Koopa's King, like, carry that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2 things from ZV Luna. They're a relatively new person. I have.
Yes, welcome.
They watched the Gao God arc, and they kind of dislike that kid Gao God, or the kid that Gao God disguised as
Futaro. Yeah, that's the big thing, because a lot of Toei's messages or about the environment, or just environmental stuff in general, comes off a lot like environmental terrorism and makes them out to be the bigger assholes than, the villains.
Also,
I pointed this out when I reviewed Zoo Ranger 2, that they had another one of those same type of episodes where, hey, this kid, and Mega Ranger 2, where, hey, this person who's pro-environment is being an asshole about things that don't affect the environment.
All right, ZV Luna had another great question, but I actually wanted to bring up TTK Dagwon 97's comment. Which Sentai auxiliary mecha was the best utilized in their respective series? I think that's a good question.
Yeah, because depends on whether it's a full combination or something that like swaps or gives additional equipment and armor to a main mech. Because I kind of want to say Jet Icarus, honestly, because that was before we really had the problem of secondary combiner robots are only used as the combiner pieces. Like, they had quite a few episodes where they just used not Jet Icarus, Jet Garuda. I botched that on my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I botched that in my head. Glad I corrected that before someone in the chat would say it. Yeah, because it wasn't just used for the Great Icarus combination, but they had several times where they used it as its own supplementary mech. It's not to say later series didn't do that with like the Dragon Caesar, or I'm forgetting the White Tiger mech's name.
Wan Tiger.
Wan Tiger.
I think it's Wan Tiger.
Yeah, it's like those early secondary slash sixth ranger mechs where, you know, they would come in and kind of dominate the show for a bit,
mm-hmm.
and then they wouldn't just forget them.
Yeah,
because a lot of the time it's like in more recent shows, the secondary slash auxiliary mechs are just used for the combination and not just as their own thing. Gaoranger in itself gets a lot of merit because, you know, there's so many different armaments and pieces that you can make wholly different combinations with them all. And honestly, we got a bit gypped as in Wild Force versus Gaoranger, as due to the content compression, we didn't see the Megazord very much, Gao Muscle, whereas it saw more spotlight in Gaoranger itself.
So that's an example of like how just because you saw one over the other doesn't mean you should like dismiss the other, because you might be missing out on something like that, right?
Yeah. Which is especially unfortunate because like we never got the Wild Force versions of the Elephant Zord and the giant Lion Zord in the Wild Force toy line. Those were Japanese exclusives, whereas we got the Ultimus Megazord set, which gave us the equivalent of Gao God, despite, you know, them not adapting Gaoranger's movie. Which is just weird when that happens.
Right. Before I continue on, real quick, Meaty Hood's asking that since you're building a Sentai mech, would it be okay to ask a few Toku questions?
Yes. Yes, it's like you guys just overload the normal streams with them when, even though we constantly tell you guys we're not really engaging as much with the content.
Yeah, so
which is why we keep having to slam that down and I start to get irritated.
So you can ask Toku questions, just try to like, you know, not open the floodgates. It should let's not flood the chat.
It's why I keep having to slam that down. You guys, when I let you guys do it, you guys flood us with them.
Right. So like I'll keep it in moderation, and I'll be looking at the chat just to, you know, and point out any like interesting ones. You know.
Yeah, and
like the Sentai Mech auxiliary mech one. I thought that was good.
So it's like you can see with the runners how they change these up. 2C from the original Eagle, and then 97E for Condor. I think this is Condor. Yeah.
Alrighty, so
I still need to build peacocks and then dock them all so I can have Gao Tajidoru.
Okay, so this is a question from ZV Luna that I really liked. Funny that you mentioned Dan of Thursday. What do you think of Gunsword as a whole? I liked how every armor was custom made.
We actually discussed Gunsword back in when we did the stream of Super Robot Wars, but yeah, I like Gunsword. I like it. It's a lot. It follows well from Scride, but due to the various issues of Code Geass, honestly, I think Gunsword's the better show of the two with regards to just its storytelling. Like, Code Geass obviously goes farther in a lot of areas, but I feel that Gunsword of the two is just it's a simpler story. I would be a better way to phrase that, and that has its own merits, because beginning, middle, and end, and it ends where you think it does, while still staying consistent to its overall themes.
Yeah, and one thing I really liked about Gunsword was how you see a lot of stories in media where there's the idea of you should never take revenge lest you become just as bad as the bad guys, right? It's like the first step down towards a dark path, right? But what Gunsword was presenting was, what if there was an individual who was so evil, so repulsive, like such a threat to everybody, that the only solution was to take them out? You know what I mean?
The problem with the turning other cheek idea of morality is it presumes that the conflict is just between two people, and it doesn't account for when people are being generally horrible to others and working to dominate, control, and enslave them. That moral stance of pacifism and letting go of anger, hate, and all these other negative emotions doesn't work against the terms of someone who is truly malevolent and malicious, and letting them just go along with what they are doing makes you no better than those that actively enable them.
Right, and Vaughn's whole character arc wasn't just like getting revenge, but also remembering like why he loved
Elena
as much as he did, and like, you know, coming to rely on others and stuff. And
it's the arc for him is he's getting closure for what he lost.
Exactly.
And it's like he's not letting himself become an entire monster. We have characters in the show that let themselves become monsters by being dominated by their hate. It's just he needs to do this or he'll never know peace. It's not going to make him a rampaging monster, as a lot of Western media about vengeance seekers showcases. It's like, no, I can't be at peace while this other person is out harming people, so I'm going to go do the job so no one else has to. And I like stories like that.
Yeah. HJ Fies was saying they hated when they didn't release like one Zord from a series, like Pachi from Gaoranger. Apparently he was never actually released stateside, so when you have the Mezzodon Megazord, you couldn't actually complete it.
That is, I was not buying Dino Thunder toys. I'd stopped buying Power Rangers toys by that point, but damn, that's unfortunate.
Like,
because like we got the Soul Bird in that Ultimus Megazord kit, so what? It's like, it feels like the Ultimus Megazord should have been the one where they toss in all the Zords that were like one-offs that could be put together, because they could have easily also thrown the elephant in that set.
So,
especially since we got all the power spheres and their weapons in like the Ninja Storm line. No, really, we did. They re-released Ninjor and to help provide them and give enough DX toys to actually do that all with, alongside the speed mode for the Ninja Megazord.
Let's see here. This is also a good question from Dagwan. Is pre-painted parts a blessing or a curse on model kits?
Depends on what the part is. It's like sometimes just stickers or decals just will not do, and they suck. Oh, trust me, we hate water slide decals.
Like, if I may for a moment, like water slide people, a lot of people seem to really enjoy water slide decals. I, however, with like my dexterity and just my overall patience with things, I can never seem to like get them to stick the way they're supposed to.
And the problem I've been having is a lot of the ones I have are now peeling. So it's like, why the fuck did you have me do this with a water slide decal that's going to come off when I don't want it to come off, when the sticker will stay on?
Right, like, I mean, stickers do eventually peel, but, like, but that's not after, like, a much longer time, you know?
They're easier to fix with just, like, other types of adhesives or say super glue to make sure they stay docked on, whereas water slides, like every water slide decal I've applied in the last year has peeled already.
Alrighty. Let's see here.
But yeah, pre-painted parts kind of just avoids that, or say when the sticker is smushed between like a clear part, so there's no chance it's gonna peel away on you anytime soon. The recent Witch of Mercury kits with the Lifrith?
Lifrith and the Ariel.
Yeah, with the Lifrith and the Ariel are doing that exact thing where their primary sticker parts, a lot of them are under clear panels that they stick to, so they're not coming off anytime soon.
Yeah, and honestly, they look really good. Like,
yeah, we've not gotten any of them yet.
But like, if we go out and about next Thursday, and if I happen to see one, I want to grab it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Though, considering how fast those kits are going, that to the point that Japanese stores are literally having to place gun tanks into their area sales areas because they're just out of them all.
I think that really says a lot when like how well the reception is just from like one episode that like, you know, like it just kind of warms my heart when like a new main mobile suit's introduced and then like everybody's like on board with it.
Yeah, like I was on board with it too. I just wanted to see more of what it could do before like fully committing, and yet I'm a sucker for remote weapons.
Oh yeah. And
I'm a sucker for a lot of gimmicks like that.
Media Hoods, just to divert the conversation a little, have you caught up with the Owl House? And if so, what did you think of it? I believe we've answered this question many times before, but
yeah, we finished season 2. I actually saw the spoiler stuff from the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, and it's like, oh, this is oh god.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you think it's nice and sweet first, and then it's like, oh no, this show is going to continue to traumatize these children.
Yeah, but one thing I think Disney not giving Owl House a full proper season 3 is probably going to be one of those things that somebody's going to, you know, they're going to kick themselves in the pants later for, because like there are some shows where it will start off with a premise, right? And that premise will run a natural course to the point where like it can just end.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like with the world of the Boiling Isles and the Owl House and all, like, you know, Luz, Amity, like all these characters in the lore, like you could have gotten like maybe 4 seasons out of this.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that old Disney rule about 65 episodes and no more, where they do enough for syndication and then kill it.
Right.
Like, I remember the fan campaigns to give Kim Possible a final season. And then the final season I couldn't watch because I didn't have Disney Channel at the time. I caught it later. It's like, I'm with CR about that show, and that it's just fun.
Kim Possible?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's like, it was one of the rare examples of there's a lot of great female empowerment characters out there, but like what I liked about Kim's character was that she just did it. You know what I mean? Like her name was Kim Possible. Like if there's a tough bad guy that needs to be beaten, she will take them out. Right?
And it felt natural.
Right. It felt natural. Like it didn't feel like something forced. She just wanted to help, you know?
And not just that, it's like she had character flaws. She was allowed to have character flaws.
Right. And that's what helped balance it out, right?
And also things that Ron was actually better at than her that didn't necessarily factor into, you know, the whole fighting bad guys thing, and yet they stayed together because they loved each other, both as friends and after they actually got together romantically.
Dom's asking, looking forward to the return of Bleach? Yes.
Yeah, she is. I'm a bit more, like, blasé about it because I fell off on Bleach early, because, like, that hit around late high school, early college for me, so I couldn't watch. But I never got into the hate zeitgeist for it that others did. And I'm glad that it's being reevaluated, especially in wake of how people are more understanding of crunch and just exhaustion in modern days than they used to be.
Yeah, because back when Bleach was first running, both as an anime and in manga, like, what we didn't really know much about what was going on behind the scenes with the mangaka at the time, because, like, the internet was still in full swing, but we, like, all that kind of information we just weren't privy to at the time, right? Or if that information was available, people weren't reporting on it as like it wasn't the one that got all the clicks and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
So people thought that Tight
as a Tight Kubo,
Tight Kubo was just suffering from creative bankruptcy instead of just plain exhaustion.
Right, because, like, I actually reread Bleach last year, I believe it was. And what I found was that while there were definitely a lot of flaws, especially in the Arrancar arc, it's, like, honestly, like, the Fullbring and the Thousand Year Blood War, like, they have their own merits too. It's just that once the final arc starts, you can clearly tell that he was hitting burnout at a point. Like, so like it's like you can almost visually see when it happens.
The anime adaptation being a complete remaster of that final story he wanted to tell, I'm all on board that. I probably won't be watching it, but I hope it does well and, like, redeems the series for older Bleach fans that try to tell people that this was what was clearly going on.
And Mecha 82 on the water slide thing says they should probably use water slides with Warhammer 40k kits, but they're not fond of those. And honestly,
those are really tiny.
Yeah, and if you think water slides on a Gundam model kit are bad, like on a miniature, like a Warhammer kit, like, you have to be some sort of pinpoint surgeon or something. Like more power to you if you can pull that off. It's just an example as to, like, how somebody like me or Davis can't. Like,
maybe they're Titan kits, but those are pretty big and expensive, and even John doesn't exactly have a great amount of those. Has he even actually built any of those Titans?
He's working on one. I know.
Okay. Because I know he's gotten a few that he's.
I got him one, and you know how John is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Dustin, even in the chat, mentions that dry transfer decals exist, and I like those.
I like dry transfer decals. They're like stickers, but, you know, rub on so you can make sure that you secure them. So we have no problems with dry transfer decals. It's just water slides that keep peeling on us. Like dry transfer too, as well by comparison. It's like they stay on.
Like I remember doing that for the Cublay, and it's like, wow, that actually looks way better than
Yeah, because it's the nice middle ground where it's a different type of adhesive that's going to stay.
Rubbing off again. Something I really wanted to ask: have either of you heard of Granbelm or Regalia, the Three Sacred Stars? They're very obscure mecha anime. I've heard
of Granbelm. I've never watched it.
I have it on Blu-ray. It's another on a long laundry list of there's a lot of stuff we want to watch, but life kind of kicked us in the ass this year.
In more ways than one.
In many more ways than one. So we can't exactly, like, engage, like, we can't binge, like, watch stuff in the same way as we normally could, you know?
Yeah, it's like, we're building the SMP Aquarian kits this week, like, after we're done here, like, not immediately. We have a few other things to do, but we're not actually watching any of the Aquarian series until likely December, January, when we have time off, because I'm going to be working on stuff that's basically our free up time to watch stuff month, and, you know, catch up with things that we really want to see. outside of, we're live watching Futo PI. We're going to be live watching Iruma. We're going to be live watching Witch from Mercury. We're going to be live watching Spy Family Core 2.
Yeah. Speaking of that, this is where I have to raise my hand a bit. There are several questions in regards to the first episode of Witch of Mercury. I will admit, through comedy.
If you watched it, fine.
Yeah, I watched it, but I also in the stance of I need to show you guys it because
oh no, it's I kind of got miffed when you went upstairs right after we finished Futo PI that one week, and then
that was a miscommunication error on my part.
And I was I was confused and by why you did that, and then I saw you live tweeting G Witch, and it's
okay,
what?
But I will, but I didn't do that for episodes. It's just new Gundam series. I was so insanely. You know how when we used to watch live Toku and stuff, I would sometimes watch the episode myself first, and then I would then I would be like, okay, we're all clear here.
I'm poking fun,
okay,
Alexis. I'm poking fun.
Well, you should know by now that sometimes I can't tell these things, and it's not a you thing. That's just my brain.
Yeah, my tone of voice doesn't help sometimes.
Yeah,
where I try and emote, but it doesn't always come off.
Yeah, but without giving away spoilers, I really enjoyed episode 1. I'm not going to say any more than that because I want to I want to see my roomies experience it, and we're also gonna have to watch the prologue because
yeah, I for one am already behind this protagonist, even though I haven't seen them, simply because there's something different.
Yeah, she's a Tanuki girl. I love how it only took character designs for the show to be revealed before everybody collectively agreed, yeah, you're a Tanuki.
Yeah, and it's Koichi Tokita, who's been a long-standing manga and creator for the Gundam side story manga, the Seed Astray stories and the Gundam 00 I and F, and I know there's another letter code that's basically acts as the prequel and side story stuff for the Gundam O stuff. He admitted that either a Bandai or Sunrise representative told him that a female protagonist Gundam series just would not sell, and it's we keep pointing out all the content and the figures for women characters that do sell, starting with, of course, the Cubile from Gundam Zeta and Double Zeta that sells like mad because people really like Haman Khan's character and dislike how she was treated by those series because, she was kind of in the right and then ended up being treated as a villain anyways.
Where have we heard that one before? Mm-hmm. That it's man, if you had a dollar for every time a supposed villain character,
and it's before the chat gets in on that, we mean she was first portrayed as a reasonable person, and then without any explanation for why she suddenly starts acting differently, she then becomes treated as an active antagonist. So it's which is not exactly against her morals, but she's suddenly doing things against her goals because she needs to be acting as the villain on an opposing side instead of someone with another alternate legitimate viewpoint. And it's Gundam kept doing that for several years under Tomino, and it's followed up and been a recurring sin in subsequent Sunrise series that for the longest time has needed to be corrected. And it kept feeling oh, it's because it's a woman on the opposing side instead of just no, you're just treating these people horribly.
Yeah. To answer a question real quick, HJ5s, I have not seen more of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s yet. Like I was saying earlier, life kicked us in the butt very hard, especially for both me and Davis here. So I'm just trying to do the things that make me happy, and
yeah, this year was trying to be a recovery year from the last 2 years of heavy overtime, and yet that's none that ended up happening. The one nice thing I've heard as of late concerning the crap revolving what screwed me over is the window company that scammed me has is actually defrauded a bunch of people, including their supplier of materials. So everybody is angry at them, and they are likely to be indicted for fraud. So it's like, I'm not alone on this, but it's still not something that's fun.
Yep. But this is the comment that I really wanted to mention. Desmond Malone. Des is a male kudere.
Kind of. Yeah, I won't argue with that. A kudere is not exactly gender locked. We have male tsunderes, so it's just descriptive of, like, personality types. Though I admit, I try to not be an asshole, but I can sometimes come off as an asshole. I'm slow burn with my rage these days. It's like, while I have outbursts, these two have never seen me genuinely angry.
I don't ever want to see you genuinely angry, just like I'm pretty sure you never want to see me, like...
Like, I'm simmering, I'm moody, I'm grump, but I have never gone full anger.
Yeah.
Like, even when in videos, when I'm yelling, it's like I'm just venting more than truly... Well, okay, maybe when I get to the Code Geass video, I'll finally snap at it, but it's like, there's a lot... I want to actually say... have the chat chime in on this. Who has played the recent Fire Emblem 3 games? Not the third numerical, as in 3 Houses, 3 Fates. Because Alexis has.
Yeah.
And I had to make an addendum to the Code Geass script because the discourse with those games is a new, modern version of the problems that narratively appear with Code Geass.
It is really spooky how it happened that way. Yeah.
Alexis commissioned art of Edelgard and Lelouch specifically because Edelgard is the Lelouch of the 3 games.
Oh yeah, they would be besties. Like I have no doubt in my mind.
And the protagonist of Dimitri and his routes and how he demonizes everyone else when the other routes keep showing him as wrong. That's the fucking Suzaku.
And also, notice how in 3 Hopes, 2 out of the 3 routes had, like...
general consensus agreement.
Like, that, you know, there was a central bad guy that needed to be stopped, and, and, you know, in Edelgard's case, it was, I'm gonna burn everything down and then start from scratch. But
can be talked out of doing things that way.
Right. But yeah, like, but real quick before we dive into that side of things, Media was asking what's a kudere, and I actually pulled up a definition of that.
It's basically, you know, tsundere where they're openly moody. Kuderes are actually nice once you get close to them, or affectionate once you get close to them. You know, they're insecure about themselves. Kuderes are basically the same thing, but they have more difficulty expressing their emotions in the right manner. Like, it's not just cold, which is the usual typing, you know, hot, soon as hot, kuderes are cold. No, it's just like, they don't know how to best emote, so they come off as wrong in social interactions. It's kind of why I described Alcade from .hack GU as more of a kudere, because she kind of does the same thing where she's not...
like, she's not mean.
She's not full Soon, and Soon doesn't really describe her mannerisms, but she has these moments where she's detached. And that's where I view more of the kudere angle on a lot of these things. And I really love this remodel of the design for Shark's arm here.
Ooh, nice. Like, I heard they specifically redesigned that part so they could
allow for better posing with the bow mode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, you being a kudere, like, that's you.
I'm not gonna argue that.
Yeah.
My bigger issue is just emoting versus expressing.
Yeah.
Expressing, because you see, I do expressions.
Hey, I know you long enough to know that, like, you're actually a big softy deep down and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like I keep saying, I'm not deliberately an asshole. I just hate dealing with people.
Oh no, I honestly, after working on Amazon for a while, like, I totally understand you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Let's see here.
It's actually, honestly, for people that keep asking me, why are you still working at Amazon? That's basically the reason. I can, for the most part, stay away from people and only have to deal with one or two problem people at most at a time.
Yeah. Among other reasons, but like...
The pay is good.
The pay is good, believe it or not. Like, could Amazon be better? Yes. Like,
no, we will not argue that. If you want to criticize Amazon, feel free. We will disagree with some of the things, but in general sentiment, go straight ahead.
But yeah. So
it's like they're hiring a former prison CEO to improve employee relations and productivity, when the largest things that have hurt our productivity the last couple fucking years are process changes, which have actually been active detriments, and a disastrous update to our training modules that are far less effective in actually teaching how to do the job. Those are not employee failings. Those are corporate failings.
Yeah. Romanoff, I see your question about the SD stuff. I'm going to get to you real quick, but I wanted to carry on with like the Fire Emblem stuff real quick. Terror of Death said hashtag Edelgard did nothing wrong.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
She did do nothing wrong. And DJ Toku was saying, then what does that make Claude then?
Claude's a not 1-to-1, but he kind of comes off as the Callan equivalent, because if Edelgard embodies Callan's rage against a broken system, that when Lelouch is more analytical about it, Claude is the reinterpretation of a Callan that's more methodical and
basically
clinical about her approach.
Basically, think of Claude as like the perfect middleman. Like, he is an outsider, like both like in lore, like he is actually like both from Fodlan and from Elmira, so like he has a unique ability, like perspective of just like seeing things from the outside, like looking in. So whenever he makes a decision, he tries to look at it from like what will benefit everybody, like, but like he doesn't have any animosity towards any one person.
And while Callan identifies Japanese, she is still nonetheless half-blood Britannian and Japanese, so she inevitably had a choice in the way she would have gone that way. She could have embraced being a Britannian, but she didn't. She made that active choice. Claude, by comparison, from what I saw of the route, is the one who has that same defined choice, whereas the Lelouch and Suzaku equivalents are inevitably locked on their paths.
Right, like eventually Claude decides that like when there came a time when like he could have left Edelgard for dead and just like left the winds of fate be what they were, but he was like, no, we're gonna save her. We're going to like resume our plan of going over to the kingdom and kicking some church butt. You want to? But yeah. So back to Romanoff real quick. Speaking of SD mechs, and refers to the Grand Film question. Have any of you watched Wataru or?
We have not seen the new series. We have not seen the old series. We did play Super Robot Wars X, so we're aware of it, and I'm going to talk about it when I do X. But we have not. I have not. That's going to be one of those when I review X that were. I just decided not to bother with the core series.
Right, and because, like, in fairness with X, they kind of go over a grand majority of the story beats of the show anyway.
Same thing with G-Reco and Buddy Complex, where I don't honestly feel the need to revisit those.
Right, because, like...
Well, okay, we haven't seen Buddy Complex, period, but I watched G-Reco as it released, and, well, there's a reason why I didn't get around to Iron-Blooded Orphans until, like, 2 years ago, last year.
It was
a
burnout kind of.
Yeah, because I just... Or the Build Fighter series, for that matter, because G-Reco just so fucking burned me. And I really should have engaged with the Build Fighters ones, because those are really my jam, though I prefer Divers Re-Rise, honestly. And it didn't help that G-Reco came after Age.
Okay.
And you know me, I'm not exactly great on I'm one of the Universal Century critics, so Age doing a redo of Universal Century and trying to do it better than Seed already did when Seed actually was critical to the original series and trying to avoid its flaws and actually, saying its flaws.
Mm-hmm. That'd be funny. Like I can kind of see it. DJ was saying, is Edie the alt child of Callan and Lulu? And I'm like, maybe not alt child, but probably like
one of the alternate universe spiritual successors, kind of like Ange is.
Yeah.
I'm so going to abuse that boy Ange girl Lelouch joke.
Yep. You gotta admit, that was actually one of the better parts of X, right?
There's a reason I brought it up in the V video in the event that I wouldn't get to X. Yeah.
Oh, Mecha82 says Edelgard is very much like Reinhardt from Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and from what I did see of that series, I can kind of get behind that.
It wouldn't surprise me if Legend of the Galactic Heroes is just one of those other foundational anime that we just have not watched, and we don't see the narrative parallels being repeated.
Right. Like, I remember watching some of it, and from what I did see, there's a reason why people talk about that.
Yeah, it's
series. It's like space opera, legitimate sci-fi space opera.
Yeah, it's it's something that, okay, these are things I like, I just have never gotten around to viewing it in any way, shape, or form. Which, hey, it happens.
Mm-hmm. But also, get ready for the easiest question I've ever seen in this chat. Terror of Death. Hey, Des, Alexis, question. What are your favorite nightmare from the entire Code Geass franchise?
Gurren Satan. I like the Gawain a bit more than the Shinkiro by just aesthetic.
I agree with that 100%.
A lot of people agree with that 100%. But Shinkiro is not bad either.
Yeah.
I like the Lancelot more if Suzaku isn't piloting it, which is why I like the Lancelot Grawl that's featured in Oz the Reflection.
Because, let's be real, the Lancelot, but this time it has, sword...
And it's red.
And it's red? That means, if it's red, it goes faster. That's proof. That's proof. That's a science fact right there.
When high-grade Gurren Satan.
Yes. No, I want real grade Gurren Satan just to flex on...
Just to flex. That is completely correct. Fuck, give us a master grader. One.
Give me figurized Callan.
There's no argument. There is no genuine argument against why they... to defend why they haven't.
If they did figurize Callan, you know for a fact that would be bought up, right?
She only has sexy fan service figures. She is overdue for something that allows her to showcase being a badass. I don't care if it's just a recolor of the Diver May kit with different head parts. They just need to do it.
Yeah, they just need to do it. It's like... I do applaud that Bandai has been stepping outside their normal wheelhouse and doing a lot of other individual mecha series and stuff and giving them their time of day, like the recently announced high grade of Vifam model kits, which I never seen that series, have no investment towards it, but I appreciate that they're doing it, because there's definitely people out there that know of it and have been probably clamoring for a modern kit of it. Right?
Yeah, it's just there's a lot of these older shows where they never really did right by a lot of them, and it's overdue doing so.
Right. They already gave us a high grade Turbine kit. I would love if they gave us a high grade not Bilbine. Was it Bilbine?
Yeah, Bilbine.
Yeah,
from Aura Battler Dunblind, which is a Tomino series I actually like and recommend outside of the original Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
To tell you how good it is. It's it's Zeta. It's everything from. It's Zeta Gundam, but in a way that I actually appreciate. And honestly, I'm kind of the opinion these days that Tomino made Dunbine has been trying to redo it ever since, considering all the sequels and side story stuff he tried to do with it, such as Garzy's Wing. Oh god, who remembers the old Spoonie and Bennett the Sage Garzy's Wing review? Because, yeah, that was Tomino.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and Joey Nikau, I see your comment, and if you're a fan of Dimitri, more power to you. Like, I hate that guy so much, but if you find appeal in the character, more power to you. Like, I have, I come to when you get older, you come to a point where you realize two opinions, two people just won't see eye to eye on something. Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's like, you can like a character, but you can also admit when they're wrong. I think that's the issue we have. Is like, we are so dead set on defending characters for the indefensible that we kind of because we like them, that we lose perspective on them.
Right, like now, like if I were to say with Aelgar, for example, well, she did nothing wrong. That's not to say that she doesn't make decisions that are probably not the smartest play in the book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
A character can make bad decisions and still a good character can make bad decisions and still be a good character. A bad character makes bad decisions and justifies making them.
And that's not just a Fire Emblem thing. That's like just a general universal writing kind of thing.
Like bends over backwards justify.
Media Hood probably doesn't fall. Any on the topic of Figure-Rise, any new kits come in? We mentioned. I'll take this one because I know it came in recently. Des has recently came in Kamen Rider Skull model kit.
Yep, because that just released through Toe Collectibles. It came in with Gao God. I also got Alphamon, which was mentioned earlier, was on, and I posted a picture of it. That's about it for new Figure-Rise. But I have put on pre-order that amazing Blue Eyes White Dragon amplified model kit that's coming up. It's like, you got my money for that. Damn you, Bandai.
Oh, I love this. John556 in the chat. I believe that's how you were, like, how you asked to be.
Yeah,
your name to be
the
said.
JAO one. Yeah, that's John.
But like, they're watching both Cross-Ange and Symphogear. Thanks for the recommendations. You are welcome. I am so happy you're giving those a shot. Because I really do feel like, especially in Cross-Ange's case, that maybe at the time, everybody like wasn't willing to give it the time of day. And it was in that era where if you didn't hook a person within like the first 2 episodes,
and the first 2 episodes are harsh.
Like, they are harsh. Like, if somebody turned them off after only watching an episode or 2, I do not blame them. But
there's a reason I had an extended talk in part 3 of Super Robot Wars V's review about that specific issue. It's like, if you bowed out for it, I can't blame you. It's like, but if you managed to get farther, you saw why it kind of had to be that way. They could have possibly handled it more, but they might have missed the mark and point of what they were trying to do.
Yeah, but you give Cross-Ange a little bit of love in it, and like, you know, put a little bit of time into it, and then you see that it is actually trying to say something with like all the sexiness and like the, you know, violence that is on display. And it's one of the rare mecha shows where you have a female lead that has a complete character arc that is not beholden to just like, you know, like the tropes. You know,
and she still hooks up with a guy, and
she's
also has Hilda on the side,
but like at least her hookup with Tusk is more. I see that more as he was probably the first person she ever met that asked nothing of her outside of like her handmaid. You want to
treat her as a person instead of like presuming
something, right?
Yeah. And it's like, she's the girl boss. She made the choices at the end of the day with all that.
Oh, I see. So apparently, according to John, if Cross Age did come to Brazil, it was before they had cable, so the only reference they had was our common. So like, so again, I'm really glad that you, because of what we're saying, like you're giving something a shot, and that makes us feel like we did our job, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like from the comments and reputation of the series it had from when I was starting this and looking into V, it's like this show did not have a positive reputation until the last few years, as in until past people playing Super Robot Wars V. Mm-hmm. Or knew that V existed, which, again, back to my comments, why did no one tell me this existed? I would have reviewed it sooner. Admittedly, I would have been off a bit about details about Evangelion stuff, considering when Rebuild 4.0 finally happened, but that would have not entirely been on me.
Oh, well, that's actually good for me, since it's actually coming. Discotheque Day apparently just...
Oh, fun. Mm-hmm. Again, to be fair, with your current stuff, it's like, we can catch these on sales eventually.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Like the worst you'd be disappointed about right now would be just them announcing XV.
If they, I swear to God, if they. Saiki Reload, Lupin the Third, Farewell to Nostradamus, Project Echo 3, Machine Robo Battle Hackers, and Digimon Season 1.
Oh, it's basically just giving announcement dates to stuff they've already said they're doing. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. Seriously, I slapped my head when their last clue was literally Butterfly, which is the name of the original opening theme for Digimon Adventure. It's like, I love that song. Why did I not catch this?
To be fair, they always, like, because of the way they structure their hints, like...
I hate that I missed the Space Sheriff one with Star Trek TNG as well. It's like, it's Worf when he was a cowboy for his son. And it's like, and I like Fistful of Datas, and it's like, I was not looking at that correctly.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I love the tweet of when they revealed that, because it was like... They showed it to one of their staff members, and they didn't get it, but then they explained what it was, and then that's when they were like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's like, I have that same reaction. I am a big late 80s, late 80s, 90s Star Trek fan, but damn, why did I not think of that? Especially because it's even better because Space Sheriff The Next Generation. That was a thing.
That's a multi-level.
That's a multi-tier reference. Like, at this point with their hints and clues, I just roll with it because I'm not gonna guess it unless it's like a directly set one of those clues where it's so direct you don't think it's actually going to be it.
We could speculate, but it's always fun when they like reveal what it was, and then you realize how clever they were trying to be.
Like, I did get the ones for Symphogear GX and Lupin the Third Dead or Alive, so I'm happy I did those ones, but that's just because I've been hoping they'd do those series more than just me getting the hints.
Mm-hmm. Aw, because there are people, both Terror of Death and DJ were saying that like they gave Crossing a chance because of you. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and also Age Justice 90. I'm not really sure what you're trying to ask in your question here. I'm gonna read what they typed, and yeah. What are some writer tools, Gaia memories, lock seeds, progress keys, what were used as a writer's alternative form? Like, it's a word. Can you restructure that question a bit, because it comes off as more of a word salad.
Alternate form as in one they like the super form they used, or like what's our favorite movie exclusive form or something like that.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like,
or like what form change gimmick toy did we like the most?
Yeah, that if you could probably be a bit more clear with that kind of question, like that'd be helpful. Because it's not like I don't want to answer it, but I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say here.
Because a lot of those lines have their advantages and merits, usually revolving around how useful are the alternate forms, or do the abilities they grant, are they used well by the series? Because definitely a problem we've had as of late with them is the form change systems are not that great.
Yep. Yep. John 556 just said they added Super Robot Wars V to the to be on their list. It is after Trails of Azure, which is like another long-running series.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Tales of series, but I'm not knocking anyone who likes it. Like, it just...
Or no, not Tales of, Trails of.
Yeah, I misspoke. I meant Trails.
Yep. And Persona 5 Royal for the Switch.
Yep.
Which, okay, you know, like, Persona 5 and then Super Robot Wars, those are some big RPGs stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna... That's like 2 months of weekends.
Like, you're gonna be invested in those games for a while, and I hope you have fun with them.
Yeah, it's like... I think we got, like... I was at 140 hours by the time I finished Persona 5 Royal, and I didn't exactly get to all of the bonus side content, just the main story stuff, which was relevant to touch. Like, I didn't mess with the Thieves Guild stuff at all.
Yep.
This is basically the point where I'm building from muscle memory, because I built a bunch of these tigers already.
Okay, Locobo, I'm gonna answer your question real after I do this one, because Luna ZV asked, what if in a Robot Wars game they had a mechanic where you could combine two mechas from different series together?
That would be interesting, but I highly doubt they'd do it.
Like, here's the thing. They said it's something that I would kind of want to see because of how insane that would be. The Vilcus combined with the Gurren Satan.
I mean, technically, the Vilcus is already a derivative of the Gurren Satan.
But like basically Gurren Satan, but you gave it the Discord phaser.
Yeah, Feather.
Feather, yeah.
I don't know why it's translated some ways as phaser, because katakana can go that way, but phaser is as in stun, not in exactly what the Discord Feather does, where it can destroy dimensions if used in the right circumstances. Feather fits the angel and, angel of death thing.
Yeah. But Locobo was saying, thoughts on Martian successor Nadesco and Gai Daigoji as a character?
Gai Daigoji! Another example of you spell it G-A-I, because same kanji. Gai...
But although... if I'm gonna be like honest for a second, I kind of prefer it to be, for Daigoji's case, to be spelled G-U-Y, because I think that's something he would do.
No, I mean it actually is romanized G-A-I.
Oh yeah, but
it's that kanji that keeps getting mis-romanized.
Right? No, I know, I agree on that point. It's just I'm just saying from that lizard brain part of me, Yeah,
but he's cool, and it's unfortunate that they keep locking on Prince of Darkness content for the last several Super Robot Wars games, because hey, Prince of Darkness is kind of the story that sucks.
Yeah, like here's why Prince of Darkness sucks. It's not because it's let's make Akito an edgy guy story. What makes it bad is that it takes so long to get to the part of the story that you would want to see, which is Akito getting Eureka back and like the big climatic fight with
It's my issue is more that it was from start to finish a vanity project of the director that had no actual involvement by the original writer, and thus everything feels wrong.
Yeah, but more to my point is that by the time the climatic fight happens, it just ends. No, I mean...
You used up all your screen time.
Like, you literally use up all your screen time. Like, Akito punches the guy to death, and it's not even after all of this buildup, he just takes him out like nothing, and then that's when the movie ends.
Like, there's a reason I basically did nothing with the fight scene there. I literally showed the entire fight. And it's not that I hate that they use Prince of Darkness specifically. It's like, but it's more of, you had so much more with this setting if you don't use this specific part of it that you can add to these stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I guess AJ Justice was referring to, like, how, a writer item can turn, like, I'm not really quite sure. They're saying, like, Gaim's strawberry, Ichigo arms or the Magma Gaia memory used to make an original writer form. Like, I'm not sure what that's referring to.
Like when a fan character is created using a primary power-up, something that was an auxiliary power-up in other media.
I guess so?
I kind of get that idea that people are on that thought because Kamen Rider Ragnarok from the new 01 comic is using Burning Tiger as the main physical motif of their unit. And we've had a few writers who have used secondary suits repurposed for their primary forms. Like, Kamen Rider Chronos has its duster jacket cape for its armor repurposed from the wizard form from the Gundam specials. So in that sense, I like when they recycle and repurpose and reuse a lot of those things, as long as it's thematically appropriate. Like Dark Drive from Surprise Future being repurposed into Shinobi. No, just no. No, none of that. Shame on you. Because you then removed the use of that suit from any other material you might want to do. Like, okay, what if you wanted to do a Drive 10 years after kind of thing?
Right.
Or, you wanted to do a special revolving around all the future riders. Now you can't.
HJ was is asking, question for Super Robot Wars, can they add non-Japanese versions of famous robots like the Netflix version on Voltron instead of the original anime?
I don't think they'll end up doing that just because of character legacy regarding all that stuff.
Like, now, I would say, however, that I wish there were more, like, Western shows that did have mechs in them that, like, could be added into a Robot Wars game. Like, okay.
We're never going to see Megas in a Super
We're never going to see Megas, but one thing that I think I would love to see, even if it was just, like, a little promotional thing in one of the mobile games, Gypsy Danger. Like, yes, it didn't have, like, a lot of attacks to it, but I think it would be kind of hilarious to see, like, this giant clunking robot, like, smack, like, a Mazinger enemy in the face with a ship. Yeah,
the thing I was specific on in my Super Robot, in my intro video, is it's stuff Bandai owns or has the rights to or can easily license from the owners. Like, Bandai owns the merchandise rights to a lot of Macross stuff, so they can... And because of the rights issues, stuff with Harmony Gold being sorted out for the most part, we could feasibly see Macross Delta finally get its time to shine if they would just shove to the side enough Gundam content to actually allow Super Robot Wars the space to breathe.
Like, you could honestly legitimately make a Robot Wars game where there's maybe like one or two Gundam series, but the rest be Macross, and or like I would, or rather, maybe like do it like a half and half, like say 2 Gundams and maybe like 2 Macross series, or
2 non-universal century Gundams.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, to be specific.
Like, if they want to give Age another shot, fine. They could possibly handle it with Age. But I honestly don't. I honestly find those are not the most viable for the mashup, considering they tried that and didn't go great.
Joey Cow, this is a fun question. What is your favorite mecha meme or joke? Theirs is getting the damn robot. Like, I know there were.
I personally don't like that one very much because, like, Shinji gets in the damn robot. He does. So it's like, what are you criticizing?
No, it's not the criticizing. It's just like how, like.
It's like what? It's why I've mentioned that meme myself because it's like. Oh, hey, Shinji Ikari actually went out and fought. He just didn't like it, but he still did it. And I use it against characters who don't actually engage in the thing that would be good for them to be engaging in. So it's like I feel it's like it's a condemning meme versus which used against other people would work better.
What's a good one? I remember when this was a thing for a while, but for a little bit when you know the opening of Getter Arc where it shows the lads running to their machines and stuff, like that this one guy on Twitter, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he edited the fight scene from Gundam War in the Pocket where the Alex and the Zaku were about to clash, and then that's when the Getter team starts running in and they're mute.
Specific mecha meme. Anime Janai.
For Dustin's, it's the disapproving Shinji. You know, like the one where
yeah, that one's funny.
Yeah, like he's just mad, he's drinking it as a coffee mug, and he's just like
looking at him.
Yeah,
it's like even Shinji. No. Trying to think of a specific one which went meme worthy. 8th MS team. Man loses an arm, smacks a robot with it.
Yep. Lokobo, Armor Hunter Mellowlink in Robot Wars. No mech, he is just on foot. Yeah, that's the funniest thing about Mellowlink is that he is not a robot guy in a robot suit. He just has a motorcycle, a giant ass sniper rifle that doubles as a pile bunker, and he's just on foot. Like
so it sounds like the Marcus Diamond effect.
Yeah, it's actually, like, I've seen a few clips, and what he does is that he essentially Batman's like a setup. Like, let's say he has to like, so it's like he relies on booby traps, landmines, tripwires, like anything he can get his hands on to like overtake these these towering scope dogs compared to him, and then he'll just get up right in their face, and then they go. Psh.
Pew, pew, pew. Yeah. Also, another thing that I'd like to see in Super Robot Wars that we won't is just Transformers, because Transformers is so huge.
Right. Like, and I think the issue with Transformers, like, let's say we got past the licensing. Let's say there was no issue on that end, right? I think the number one thing that would prevent a Transformers series from, like, entering a Robot Wars is what continuity are you basing it on, and how, because most Robot Wars games have series that are relatively self-contained in some regard, like even if they are a part of a bigger franchise. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But with Transformers, since are you talking about G1, Prime, or the line continuity, the Japanese series, like which one would you be going for?
Because I'm almost certain that if they wanted to do that, then they would have to go back and rely on G1. And considering that's basically episodic, not that there's anything wrong with being episodic, there's only so much you could do with that to be more definitive. Whereas some of the Japanese series have at least a narrative arc where there's a planned beginning, middle, and end, even if it's not planned in advance. But there is inevitably a planned ending that doesn't have it go on and on forever as long as the toys sell. It's like there's a planned... I don't think it's the best descriptive term, but there's a planned obsolescence for the storyline where it is going to conclude at some point.
Right. Like, Victory Saber or Lyle Convoy showing up I would not be opposed to.
But yeah, you'd be more likely to see another entry feature Zoids, because planned beginning, middle, and end to it, than you are likely to ever see Transformers debut in Super Robot Wars.
Oh, and Joey brings up another good point. Their problem with Transformers and Robot Wars is size scaling and what characters to use.
Yeah,
because
Transformers can get ridiculously big, and seeing Fortress Maximus or Scorponok or Triptychon would actually be interesting. It's just those city formers are kind of their end boss or major story boss kinds of things that
although I think I brought this up once in like a chat in a stream or whatever, but There is one thing I think you could do in regards to Transformers in a Robot Wars game. You adapt the movie.
That would probably make the most sense. Because then that would be a all hands on deck to face off against Unicron. And I realized I put the wrong leg armor on these.
Yeah. But like you know, you can have the Autobot, the beginning opening levels feature Autobot City being under attack, the Optimus death. Like,
hell, you could do that special secret thing where if you do enough of these things right, Optimus comes back later just having been gravely wounded.
Right. And then, you know, have like that a fan crossover, like you can see how Rodimus do like the time to light our darkest hour moment where he activates the Allspark, but like you can have some fun there, right?
Yeah.
Like oh god.
And it's like I'm with TJ Omega and Lewis. Linkar recently reviewed the Transformers Deviations alternate universe comic of the movie, where Hot Rod / Rodimus gets a lot of undeserved flack.
Yeah,
because he was my favorite as a kid, because I saw season 3 first, and I was on board that whole reluctant, not confident in himself leader character.
Yeah,
I know others weren't because, you know, Dad bought, and I did have Optimus Prime was my first Transformer, so I get that, but
it's kind of funny, like how
like he clearly regretted his role in that, so he was conscious of his screw up.
It's kind of funny, like what a generational perspective can do for a series where, like, just because you saw the season 3 first, you became more attached to Rodimus. You know, where it's, you know, obviously the people who probably really dislike him saw like more of the G1 content first,
yeah,
you know, and
it was the first big clearing the deck moment where a lot of characters died.
Oh, and let's see.
So it's like I get it, but a lot of people slam Rodimus, and the character is forever tainted by the fan backlash. So like most of the stuff that would previously have gone to him or allowed for his character recreation has gone to Hotshot in like the Armada, Energon, Cybertron trilogy of the Unicron stuff, but more recently Bumblebee. And I was never a Bumblebee fan, even though his was one of the highest and most distributed toys ever. And it's like, I have no strong feelings for this character. Hell, I came to dislike them more because of the Bay movies.
Yeah. Terror of Death's favorite Transformer is Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime. But DJ Toku, when they said a little bit ago, imagine the Earth Fleet Tenku from V, like all teaming up to take on Unicron, and like you could Unicron plus like other mecha shenanigans. You can do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, like Unicron getting shot with a wave motion gun. Hell, Unicron getting his head blown off by the Trans Am Riser sword.
Yeah. Or like imagine like what would happen if DG Cell, like the Dark Gundam and Unicron, like
or hell, him being infested by the invaders from Get a Robo.
Oh god, that would
you could legitimately do some nightmare fuel stuff once you get Unicron involved in things. Even after they reduced him from multiversal god tier, which I think is kind of a mistake, because then he can't win that argument of Unicron versus Getter Emperor. It's like he can't win that now.
Oh, and here's another terrifying thought. Imagine Unicron or any Decepticon with Zondermetal.
Yeah, well, it's like Zondermetal requires living, but considering Transformers are that loose interpretation of living,
like that's what I'm saying. Like you could, like
I think it just requires organic matter for it. So it'd be funny if they try to use Zondermetal to mechanify everybody, kind of like they did in 1G1 episode, and then was a major plot point in Beast Machines. So I could see that happening and working, but just it's like that. It's a yes and no. Them being infested by it, no. Them using it on others, yes.
But you can see where, like, that's where I feel like the beauty of Robot Wars really comes into play, where, like, yes, it may be glorified fan fiction, but sometimes you just want to know what would happen if, like, your favorite thing mashed up with another thing.
And there's the reason, another reason to play T is like, wow, they actually thought this out, and oh god, this is terrifying because of it.
Yeah. Like, when they said that DG cells mixed with Zonder metal, and it's like, oh god.
DG cells mixed with Zonder metal mixed with invaders, and all three of them parasitically feeding off of the other to their own mutual benefit / destruction.
And it's like, oh god, like, that's like some John Carpenter thing.
That's genuine terror nightmare fuel thing. The only problem is they didn't actually go all the way with it and just use the same monster models, which is, I think, where they fell short of where that game could have actually gone with it to create some more genuinely original enemies to face.
Yeah, DJ was saying, like, imagine Cybertronians slapped with a GN drive on it.
Honestly, that might work as if there was an Energon power converter. Like, you take the energy produced by GN Drive and they just convert it to synthetic Energon, because that's what they did in G1. They took other electrical energy sources and they stored it in the form of Energon. Right.
It's like everybody's gangster till, like, Rodimus starts going Trans Am.
Like, I think there was a plot point in Transformers Prime 2 where they were trying to figure out how to make that specific type of synthetic Energon to mixed results.
Yeah. But
I've not seen all of Energon, I've just heard of the plot point tangentially. Or not Energon, Prime.
But that's a very... Imagine the Yamato charging into the Unicron's eye while firing the wave motion gun while Dare plays in the background.
Yeah.
Like, this is like that's a fun topic to...
Yeah, the Transformers movie has an amazing soundtrack.
Yes, it does. And, it's like, it's not one of my favorites, but I do have, like, a fondness for it. You know, like...
They used Weird Al. You can't hate it.
You can't. I am Redcar.
He dares to be stupid.
I dare to be stupid.
I don't like Transformers animated, but I'm amused by some of its reference memes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was genuine love. I did not engage with the art style they had for it, or some of the story points.
But yeah, like, seeing all those animals all together like that, like, I love the color combination.
Yeah,
it is a very unique.
Back when Sentai mech designers actually knew what they were doing.
But yeah, honestly, like, throughout this entire line of model kits, I feel like they more than justify whatever price they put out. You know?
Yeah, consistently.
Like, because from the color separation to, like, even if there are stickers here and there in places, they're in places where I understand why they're there.
I just genuinely feel that Gal Muscle should not have been P Bandai exclusive.
That's the weird one.
That is my one critique on all this. It's the one where there's no explaining that. There's no explaining that one to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it was justified.
Okay, last one on this topic, but I think this imagery would be hilarious. Shinji meeting the Dinobots. Like, what's wrong, little Shinji? You need to be strong like Grimlock. And Shinji's like, I'm sorry. Come.
It's like the constant thing I beat over the head. Well, not beat that much over the head in Super Robot Wars V is a lot of Shinji's problem is he generally does not have a good mentor character in to get him in the right mindsets.
Like,
whereas in V, that they kick that mindset's ass so he can go have his own badass moments, which
right, like he actually has a support network, and I loved when like he was Ava and Mazinger was introduced, and Koji like complimented Shinji like genuinely, and I'm like, that is so in character for him to do that, and it's like, imagine being complimented by Koji Kabuto, like. It's like, I don't mean to be starstruck, but wow.
It's like, it allows him to get perspective that the main Evangelion series never allows him to have. So Shinji with a spine is more plausible.
Right, and then also like Shinji being coached by Ryoma and stuff, like just everybody collectively helping him become better.
It's where Super Robot Wars is the best, when it's fixing genuine problems or issues with material that prevents character growth or narrative conclusions. Super Robot Wars is at its worst when it's just ad nauseum following the plots with no changes, but all these other characters are here.
That's kind of like one of my critiques of 30, where things didn't diverge all that much.
You just put them all in together, and it's like not
to say divergences didn't happen, but
there's definitely a lot of examples in that game of, you're not thinking about this,
like you're not truly thinking of like again, going back to T with where Gunsword came back after a long absence. When Vaughn got his final upgrade, they combined that moment with Arcadia
Harlock.
With Harlock, and I honestly thought that was clever, because like, how are we gonna fix Vaughn? Well, we were after this MacGuffin thing for a long time, so like,
let's resolve these together.
Exactly.
Whereas a lot of what's the best example I can give from 30 of that? Okay, yeah, the backstory stuff, where that Lelouch deposes a bunch of the people that made the Universal Century stuff terrible in their setting, and then the Laplace Box revelation is the excuse they used for all the Victory stuff, when the Victory stuff was explained by what happened in Hathaway's Flash, where Hathaway was trying to stop the Earth government from passing a law that allows them to declare eminent domain and export everybody to space, which makes a lot of people really angry, which is how the people in the antagonist faction in Victory Gundam gained all their power. These are sequential events that cause each other, and because of Lelouch's actions from the Code Geass setting playing part, then those events legitimately cannot happen, as the stuff that the Laplace Box conspiracy was all about are all out of power now. T has this same problem with the Gundam fight stuff interfering with curating the circumstances that would put Char against Earth so badly, because not only is Char eventually proven right about the people in charge of the Earth Gov are actually evil, but the majority of the systems that would have created the entire Universal Century conflict are not consistently there anymore. So it's like, it's a big setting discourse between them. Not so much T again, because, conspiracy nonsense, and there are still various antagonist factions you could adapt them to otherwise, but in 30, there was clearly examples of them not thinking about this stuff.
And, like, I will never get over the fact that they had Zeta Gundam, but then pretended that Double Zeta never happened, or because of the events of the game.
Because they used a new translation instead of the canon series.
But, like, again, it's still, like, it still bugs me,
It's like, if you don't want to use Double Zeta, fine. Just say that Judao is off doing the interplanetary hydrogen transport thing like he canonically does after Double Zeta, that it removes him from the content you can use. Because that's what he goes off to do at the end of V and the end of T anyways.
Romanoff was asking about, like, thoughts on how Voltron was adapted from Go Lion.
Pros and cons, considering I saw Voltron first and I've never actually gotten a chance to see Go Line, despite that being really majorly pushed by Media Blasters at the time. They were also releasing Gao God and actually caused why the back half of the series never got dubbed.
I find this... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Honestly, it's a pros and cons thing. Like, Shiro dying and them excluding that and then having the irrelevant character come back as their brother, fine. There's censorship stuff that you had to deal with there regarding character deaths. I'm not argumentative about that. Some of the audio changes were unnecessary, even though the English Voltron theme is like, oh wow, that has kept for some reason. I don't think it's an awful readaptation. I hate that a lot of people use how that was done in the 80s as an excuse for terrible, unnecessary localization changes in modern media, because not a huge amount of stuff was changed for unnecessary reasons. It was just censorship of the time, whereas a lot of modern dub changes seem to be done for no particular reason, or for reasons that were localizer based instead of having legitimacy to them. Case in point, the Kobayashi Dragon Maid changes that I keep railing on because they are so unnecessary.
Terror of Death. Des, you forgot that in most Transformers continuities, Transformers transformation cogs are actually partially organic, so Unicron could be infected by Zondermetal.
I was not aware that transformation cogs are organic in nature.
Well, like, no, I guess there's some organic component in there that maybe the Zondermetal could latch onto. And even if it's not like a common continuity thing, the one thing on Transformers we've come to learn by watching the basics episodes is that it can be pretty nebulous. Obviously, like, you know, every continuity has their own origin story.
Yeah, so it's hard to tap down on certain things.
Right, so, like, for the sake of a story, I could buy them, like, saying, here's why there's some organic stuff in there.
Yeah, it's like, I would have never known that because I've never heard of that. So it's like, it's not so much I forgot, it's a case of, I never knew that.
Well, the more you know.
Do.
Yeah. HA5 on the Netflix Voltron. We have never seen it.
I have seen the first 3 seasons. I did not see the seasons of the show that made people really angry at it. Or they revealed that they basically went through the entire thing without any sense of planning until people found that out in the aftermath. And I have no interest in seeing the back half of the series now. It's like, I referenced Voltron seasons 1, the Netflix Voltron seasons 1 through 3 when I was going through Dino Charge, and it's like, I could be watching any of these far better things right now. Ironically, half that list has ended up on the in the dumpster bin now in the aftermath, but they were true at the fucking time. I think the only one that holds up on that is I'd rather be watching G than Dino Charge.
Yeah, G was good.
I always have problems with these joints. Where is my set of pliers?
Yeah, like, the thing about mini plus is that they tend to be pretty tight in places, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
My other question is, like, while we're building Aquarion, like, what do we throw up on the TV?
Lewis just premiered another episode. We haven't watched that. Or we could just throw up more Among Us streams. No, I need the actual pliers. Curse me and my organized, chaotic organization for all the stuff I have over here. Yeah, these are really, really tight.
Oof. HJ was asking, do you still collect Transformers?
Not especially. I've gotten a few here and there, but the ones from the Power of the Primes line, I still have the Dinobots, but I sold off the Nemesis Prime and the Throne of the Primes Optimus Primal I got from that.
Mm-hmm.
They were on the list of stuff I was advertising I was selling a few months back.
Like, I don't collect Transformers. I could never collect Transformers as a kid. Anything I ever got was like a Christmas gift. But if they ever re-released an Armada Prime, like, I'm snapping that up. Like, you can't keep me from...
Armada Prime was so good.
Yeah. Like, okay, maybe not necessarily the trailer, like the actual toy, but like in show, like, let's be real, that it was pretty sick, right?
And the Jetfire combination just slapped.
Mm-hmm. Like, I still have that image of him, like, linking up with his trailer, you know, to get those epic pants. Him whipping out his giant rifle and then, like, Macross missile. Well, not missile, but...
Macross blasting.
Yeah, Macross blasting with all those lasers. And it's like, oh, that's my jam.
Mm-hmm. Like, despite the production issues of several parts of the Unicron trilogy, there is merits in a fair amount of the content. These just do not want to go in.
Oh no, Media Hood, I am fully aware of, like, the recent announcements, like, about Armada Prime possibly getting a new figure. So
in the
like,
Legacy line at that.
Yeah, so like, you do, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they do it, then like
there would be people who would want them to do Jetfire and Overload after, so you could have the full armaments Armada Prime.
But I could just deal with Armada Prime and be fine.
Yeah. If it's, like fully posable legs, I think people would be happy.
Mm-hmm. Like, there was just something about that design that just appeals to me, you know?
And the fact that it wasn't overused despite showing up in the pilot. Like, as much as there were problems with the development of Armada, they knew to stay focused on the characters and not necessarily the collectible merchandise gimmick. People were there for the characters, not the toys.
Oh, doing a toy really slapped. I'm not sure if it's still at my house or whatever, or what it's going,
or if it's on the stuff you got downstairs.
But regardless, leader class Cybertron Starscream. You know, like the big one where he had his crown and like the Cybertron keys could like whip out his rifle or a sword.
Yeah, basically God Power Starscream.
Mm-hmm.
That was...
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
right?
no, absolutely. His first appearance was when he went giant-sized. Oh, no, wait. No, that was the second time he got the power-up from that. He went giant-sized. But yeah, that upgrade was interesting. Simply because it was homaging that very specific Starscream, ruler of the Decepticons. This is bad comedy moment. And actually expanding it all because, hey, Starscream had been screwed over the last series, so it's a natural character development where you take your super loyal soldier, you kill him, and then you use his corpse as a zombie, and then he comes back mad saying, you know what, I'm going to take your job.
I'm sorry, by the way, I got offline by cosmically empowered Starscream.
Every time. The amount of times Chris McFeely has had to say that about a G1 character referring to the comics.
It's practically a meme of like getting offline by cosmically empowered Starscream. It's just so funny. Mega 82, Armada Starscream is perfect. But like, to step away from the Transformers talk for a bit, because trust me, we could talk about those robots.
There's so much to talk about.
There's so much to talk about. But like, here. I'm happy with how the weather's been turning out.
It's been a nice cool down, so we haven't needed to have the heat on running much. It's about 66 in here.
Yeah. No. I always love the fall weather.
Far better than that lousy March weather.
Well, it's funny, at your current pace, we might be actually done with the stream by the time we would normally finish the stream.
Yeah. Depending on how many people want to see armament swaps between the GaoGod pieces.
I think we can at least show that, we do a fashion show with that.
Fashion, turn to the left.
Fashion, flex to the right. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you saw this, but I seen 3 episodes of that Birdie Wing anime. Like, Yusuke Kuroda just does not miss.
Yusuke Kuroda has an amazing catalog of series he's been part of. Some misses too, but it's like when he hits, he hits.
And if so far, this is definitely a hit for me because it's right in my ballpark of it is ridiculous, but also there's a serious story with other stuff going on in it. It's not super complex, but it's in, you know what I'm talking about, right?
It's working to sell itself, so you're on board.
Right. One of my friend mutuals on Twitter sold it as it's Yu-Gi-Oh, but golf. Not in a supernatural sense, but this is the world where everybody just really loves golf. There's a mafia that revolves around golf shenanigans, apparently. And
I play Sand Trap in defense mode. That is immediately where my head went.
But it's, and the best part of Yu-Gi-Oh is that the fact that they're all playing a children's card game and they sell it as they play it straight.
The thing is, in the setting, there's been the appropriate escalation for why it's taken seriously.
Right, and
which it's taken advantage of more in the sequels over time, but when you realize where the foundation started, and you realize all that Season 4 stuff is why this setting is like that, because there have actually been monster emergences in reality affecting things. So, hey, let's promote this card game for people who actually seem to be able to counter it with counter that specific type of threat, because technology advancement, it makes sense. It does. And really, the worst parts of the Doma arc are the stuff they had to do to back justify what was happening in the manga versus the original story elements that they started with.
Oh yeah, HJ5s are talking about Birdie Wing, girls golf story. It is literally about
a recent Sunrise anime.
Well, Bandai Namco Pictures, but it's Bandai
Namco Pictures is still Sunrise.
Right.
It will remain Sunrise. It is not going to change in people's minds that it was that company.
Oh, that's right. They did change. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it's about a girl named Eve who spends her life making her living is by taking on gambles, where it's golf trick shots and stuff, right? And she lives with I forget her name, but she lives with her friend and her friend's sister, and because of their living arrangement, they don't technically own the place, so they have to constantly earn money to have the authorities turn a blind eye.
It's Happy Aunt Madison the anime,
only with a hot blonde. Hot blondes, and there's Yuri.
Like you do.
But basically one day Eve gets challenged to a bet on a professional golf course where she meets this other girl who is sort of her opposite, but not, in that she just loves the sport of golf so much, and is if Eve is all about the power, then this other girl is the technique. You know what I mean? since I just started watching the show, it's gonna be a bit before I memorize characters' names, but like episode 1 sold me because of of the ridiculous trick shots involved. Like it's one of those, should not be possible, but yet it's being sold as possible.
If I remember correctly from when I looked it up, the protagonist is played by Nezuko from Demon Slayer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's actually a nice thing, John. Call them weird, but they do like Yu-Gi-Oh! Zell, and they apparently they do get all the hate, but they enjoy it for some reason.
Fair enough. Like, what we've walked back on Zell is my primary problem is Yuma, and how Yuma, everything revolving around Yuma is a problem, but the lore stuff, the kite stuff, the Rio stuff, that's fine. That stuff is fine for me. It's just like, wrong protagonist. This is not the protagonist I would have wanted for this.
Mm-hmm.
He gets better. I agree with that. But
like starting off, it's a hard sell.
It is a very hard sell.
Yeah. And even John admits that back then they did not like the Xyz summon, which...
Yeah, I hate... I mentioned this and stuff before. I hate that they changed it from exceed, as in exceeding your limits, to XYZ, as that makes no sense. That localization, literally, there is no logic to it, and I hate it. I even say, whenever we're dueling, I always say exceed for a reason. Yeah, the amusing thing is just, for the most part, I'm basically just rebuilding Gao King.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, DJ brings up the point. Plus, Yuma was just after Yusei, and that would have been, like...
It is a hard act to follow.
That, like, that's not necessarily a point for Yuma, per se. That's more like in general, whoever came after Yusei was gonna be a hard act to...
Yeah, a hard sell, but it's like, when they did it, you took, things people hated about Jedi that were underplayed with Jedi, and you made them front center and ramped them up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and not helps that at that time, hyperactive idiot protagonists were fucking everywhere.
Yeah, and let's be real, like, that trope got old.
That trope was old the second they brought it back again, because it's a cycle.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's... like,
protagonists like that age horribly for a reason.
Stuff while I would play the main game and get my soul crushed.
Yeah, and Luna emphasized she really wanted you to play them.
Right, like, once I told her I was playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, she was like, okay, why did you play 2 before 1? And I was like, because I thought I could. And it's like, you go play 1. And I'm like, okay, I was going to do that anyway.
Yeah, because they're sequels, but they're occurring alongside each other, so you can do either of them in any order if you wanted to. Just
right.
Like, you need to play both to really, truly understand what's going on with 3, because that's the point where the sequel content requires you to.
Yeah, it's like, they say, the developers said you could play 3 by itself, but I'm like, okay, you could, but
then you're
like,
missing
you are missing a lot of stuff. Like, it's one of the, it's like the, what's the best way to describe it?
You could watch Zeta Gundam first, but you'll be missing a lot of context from the first Gundam.
Right, because Zeta Gundam kind of exists as like a continuation of the original Gundam.
A purposeful sequel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could watch See Destiny first, but then you'll have a worse opinion of a lot of characters that were not deserving of the hate they got after Destiny. Or during Destiny, too.
But yeah, like...
You could watch Gundam 00 Season 2 without seeing Season 1, but... Actually, you can do that, but you're still missing information.
Right, and you're kind of missing, like, character narrative arcs, and you're going to be like, why is this kid going around in a one-armed Gundam, you know?
You could watch Code Geass R2 first, but why would you?
Yeah, why would you? Like, treat yourself better than that. Like, but, yeah, like... But seriously, my god, everything Luna was saying to me about the Azure Gleam route, it was like, oh my god, this is like R2, only like more stupid.
How do you get more stupid?
You have a French fry hair idiot as a king. Mecha 82. I actually did watch Zeta before the original, and yeah, I didn't understand it. Everything. Point proven.
Oh, better example. You can play Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory without playing the original Cyber Sleuth, even though the plots tie together as they're running concurrently. Yeah, that one functionally works, but you still want to go back to the original to have full scope of the story, considering they at times cross paths. And you know, Hacker's Memory is still slave to what's going on with the main Cyber Sleuth throughout its story.
Although it was I really enjoyed that story better though.
Much stronger story.
Yeah, much stronger story with like,
which isn't repeating the dumb Naruto stuff.
Yeah, it's not, and also it's like, it was such an interesting idea for a sequel in that, like, instead of like doing a time skip or a prequel, it was like, no, this is actually occurring alongside the first game. We're just seeing like the outside perspective of things.
Yeah, since the first game has a definitive ending, you can't really mess with.
Right. So like, here, let's get invested in these other characters, right?
Who are going to be screwed over because the original ending happens. But not screwed over in a narrative, in a storytelling sense, screwed over because the end of the original story negatively impacts the consequences of what's going on with these other characters. This is always the problem with the Bison types, just these connector joints. Because they're simultaneously too tight and too loose.
I'm surprised because I used, like, back to the Birdie wing thing for a second. I just was imagining, like, that, you know, that meme we were talking about the other day with, like, the Kamen Riders fighting each other with golf clubs. Like,
well,
somebody needs to do that.
Let's have a golfing tournament.
Yes, let's have let's have Ryuho and Kazuo like fight each other with golf clubs.
I'll do that with a bunch of gunning protagonists. Make it funny.
Yeah. The Terror of Death. I still hate how Seed Destiny's character assassinates a good chunk of the original Seed cast.
Yes and no.
Like, okay, some people definitely get the short end of the stick, but truth be told, after going through Destiny myself, I don't necessarily think characters were assassinated so much as they were, like...
Sidelined.
Because character assassination would be like if Kira was like, no, time to kill everyone that moves.
It's like, that is not Kira.
Right, that wouldn't be Kira, but you know what
which is the point.
Right, like, but sideline, I think, is a more apt description.
Like, Kira not being involved, that's a good thing that allows Athrun to actually be the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the story, which is...
Like, to, like, try to guide Shin to be, like, better and stuff, but then, like...
Then Shin just does not listen because he's the Anakin Skywalker of the story.
And he's also kind of a snakehead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be full-on honest,
But the Kigali criticisms, those are legitimate.
Those are legit.
And caused by Hiroyuki Yoshino, has been my argument on the series. It's like, it's that guy that is the problem.
So, did you use all the stickers, or?
I did not put on the ones on the side because I want, down here, because I want to make sure Buffalo was going to come together first, and I'm having a bit of a problem with some of the joint connectors again. I don't know why. Where the back of the back
I don't think it
like to completely close, and it did for mine.
Mm. Mecha 82, you do know that if Setsuno with the 00 Quantal ever fought the Barbatos, the Quantal would just destroy it. Like,
it doesn't matter if it has energy beam resistance. It's like, you're getting hit by a sword that can cut a planet. You're not resisting that.
Yeah, it's like... Like
the Barbados for how savages, just as you like, just know that endgame mechs in Gundam, other ones, are going to devastate it. Like, there's a reason we had that Build Divers OVA fight scene between the Strike Freedom and the Barbatos, because that's just a hit them until both of them break kind of encounter because of how those two mechs are designed.
Oh yeah, Desmond mentioned that Athrun and Kigali's plot was dumb, but Shin and Stella made them sad. Stella!
I mean, again, there's a narrative point to it, but the problem is, like, Kigali is insecure out of seemingly nowhere for a lot of people, and then people don't listen to her, so she's then suddenly impulsive because different people keep writing her different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, by the time they finally conclude the plot with her resolving her insecurities and gaining the resolve she needs to get more back to herself, people are very tired of it. And it's like, that's not exactly poor execute. That's not exactly making for the plot to be in its the plot conceptually to be for. It's an execution thing front to back. Same thing with Shin, with how his plot is executed. It is executed very poorly from a very good concept. In that he's written to be the person who devolves to being the villain from the start, but a lot of people didn't get that. And I am going to have to tighten this peg because this leg is just not wanting to stay in the peg hole. Actually, I think I might put this on backwards, which would make more sense than anything.
Oh, Lakobo, so how about that Chainsaw Man? Ah, yes. Denji, my boy. Chainsaw Man's a violent as hell story, but damn is it not good and subverts your expectations in, like, the right ways. Like,
I'm not engaging with it, but I've heard good things from Alexis and John.
Like, one thing I like about Fujimoto's writing of Chainsaw Man is that there will be times where you think everything is safe and things are going all according to plan, but the way in which things turn for the worst makes you feel like you should have seen it coming, you know? Or sometimes, like,
because it's like they foreshadow it, but they don't make their foreshadowing overt.
Right, and he uses the benefit of manga as an art medium to, like, really get creative with stuff. Probably like the most notable example of like Fujimoto getting creative with the manga paneling was when they fought against the Darkness Demon, which is like one of those primordial fears that everybody has.
Mm-hmm.
And then this Darkness Demon just starts literally interfering with the manga panels themselves. Like poking through it, or like
that really is art as a medium taken.
Like
to
if you ever
level.
actually get a chance to look it up, like you'll be like, oh, that's how I'm gonna be curious to see like how the anime handles it, because
unless they go full Deadpool or something,
right? No, it's not even like Deadpool. It's more like you're dealing with something so cosmically more stronger than you that it is toying with the very fabric of the reality that you are currently existing in.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay, so yeah, final combination time.
All right, time for the gatai. Yakuju gatai. That crest.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna dock it down just first so I can get it at the right angle, because it has to lock in. Because I know it flares. Actually, I don't think it locks in all the way. Huh. Okay, yeah, they made specific docking clips in the farther back this time. Like, it just rests in there now. Just gonna make this very obnoxious. Yeah, the head is on rather loose. I might have to tighten these up later with some nail polish, just make sure it'll lock in better. Yep, standard tiger transformation.
Isn't it? It looks like a puma.
Jaguar.
I'm gonna call it a puma.
I like to call it the warthog.
It's a warthog.
Look, see these toes? They look like tusks. What animal has tusks?
Elephant.
A walrus. Didn't I tell you to stop making up animals? Red vs. Blue Season 1 jokes in 2022.
More likely than you think. Media Hood even said in the chat, what kind of animal has tusks?
I had a feeling.
Hey, Terror of Death. Hey, Death, question. What is your favorite striker pack in both Seed and Seed Destiny?
I am a sucker for the Perfect Strike pack, which combines the launcher, the sword, and the ale, which was featured in the remaster, so it's basically canon now. I'm also a fan of a lot of the wizard packs for the Zaku's simply because they're well executed, in my opinion.
It's totally wizard.
Yeah. Sword Silhouette's got the most use for a reason. It's just good with the backpack design. Yeah, this is the problem.
Are you sure you're putting it in there right?
Yeah, there's these two pegs that have to lock from the Condor's legs. It's just that it's a bit wider than it should be due to how the parts came together. So it needs to be tightened. And the head came off. Yeah, because normally the eagle locks in by folding the wings around the lion. There it goes. But with them folded up, they kind of just rest on those 2 points, so if those 2 points aren't locking in correctly, head pops off. Yeah, so there we go. GaoGod, aka Animus, with accessories and spare parts kept over from building the original. I'm probably going to use some of these parts for customized stuff, so I'm glad to have them. I really need the spare horns, too. And again, it comes off because these are not as tight as they should be. Like, you see this seam right here that's...
Yeah.
That is why the head keeps popping off, because it's not locking into these bolts correctly. Design flaw that has to be fixed with just some...
I wonder if I'll avoid that when I build it.
Hopefully, because I pointed it out. But yeah. Glad they actually went through and did all of them. I really am, because it makes it so much easier than having to kit bash this later myself for the full 100 animals. And I like that they give us the separate bow simply because, you know, you can keep the horns on them, or you can just follow through what the series did, and this is really going to become the problem. Take off this, just put it in the Jaguars mouth for bow. Swap out Saw Shark's head for the other one, and then you have this is also really tight, so I have to be careful of that. For the arrow poses. Don't think this is getting across as well as it should be, but yeah.
Do you mind if I...
Yeah, it's just tight, so I don't want to force it too much.
Okay.
Yeah, and then this is the full bow and arrow as it's supposed to be displayed, just for a longbow look. Yeah, I think I'm getting the point across. And then something that the Hobby Blog did was they did something with Kentaros that I actually really liked, that emphasized, hey, you can mix and match really all of these any way you want to, because they made it go all out. Gao Kentaros, that is over here on the side. Yeah, they showcased in the blog... Wow, this is really tight because I haven't messed with this since we built it, aside from putting it on the screen, or display, with a full Sagittarius look to it by giving it GaoGod's arms. And because Sagittarius is the mythology, the centaur with the bow, it's actually being screwed with and posing by both Falcon's head and the giant lion's body, but it's close. maybe turn it a bit. Yeah, I can get it close, but like not full on. So yeah. And then, of course, limb swap fun, because if you just remove the extended Shaw Shark, you can get Gao God, Sword and Shield. Yeah, I really will need to tighten this up later. Now, again, in regards to Sword and Shield, I really, really hope that the next SMP line they do for newer Sentai, or just Heisei Sentai, is going to be the Hurricane one, so we can just, you know, get Gaoranger's Sword and Shield out of it, because that would be awesome for them to do just another movie form like that. And then, of course, we have to give
God muscles.
The ultimate muscle. Which, yeah, does not look bad. Again, the head keeps coming off because I need to reposition the freaking head. Or change the connectors around.
Awesome.
Which, honestly, this looks good. I might do this with more of the custom animals I've made, but they're all in animal mode over here. I have deer and giraffe on King, because obviously his arms are missing, so he needs replacements.
That tends to happen with kings from time to time when you just get like a sudden arm removal.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this wings covering the emblems, not too bad.
Can I see it from the front? I can't see it. Yeah.
Again, biggest disappointment of just some of the limitations of the show is just you didn't get to really see the full breadth of how the combinations work, in part because some of these were just barely appearing, others were because Icarus was CGI, so it couldn't exactly do easy whim swapping unless they wanted to, you know, animate more of the model. Then I felt this one could have been one they actually did instead of, like, Gao Hunter Blue Moon. I like Gao Hunter Blue Moon, but I think this would have been as thematically appropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably just going to pose it with all of the Gao God Animus pieces as they standard are, because I like the standard Kentaros formation. I like Gao King posed with Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, while I'm here, so
give God pants.
Make God kick things with a ball. Really, really hard. What ball? An armadillo ball.
Armadillo Mon. Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering what the back plates for that went.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I don't think my armadillo was like so loose in there.
I don't know why that is. That's the problem with the other one I did as well.
Like I don't think mine has that problem.
Yeah. Well, mine does, which is annoying. And it's with the other ones I built too.
Mm-hmm. Media Hood, what does God need with an armadillo ball?
Well, you see, he's going to shoot the ball with an arrow to give it an even a harder kick. Kind of like the Gokaiger slashing the bullets to make them hit faster.
Oh, I'm sorry, but you can't hit a soccer ball with an arrow. That's just against league regulations.
Nonsense. Look at that guy who did that just today. Robin of Locksley. Yeah. Again, there is not a single bad design in the entire Gaoranger line.
The fact that they all intermix with each other and like every arm combination seems just as valid as the next.
Mm-hmm. It's like, what's the flavor of the day?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something else I like about having to figure out how to do my various customs, because it's not just the color palette changes, but what custom armaments do I want them to represent? Or how do I just do different things with the gears that'll make them stand out? Like, I am still working on properly finishing Gao Devil, but at least just at this point, it's like, it's an arm swapped and recolored repaint of Gao Hunter, but you see this divide down it because I was trying to figure out how to do the cannons on the back, and I realized, hey, move the feet back like this, and then find a way to split the jaw, and then mount it like that. That'll work perfectly. I just need to get the actual mechanism that'll allow it to brace between these sides to actually, have a naturalistic transformation to it, and then I will have opened that space to actually get the bat on top. Or Komori, as I'm referring to, because I'm doing both bats.
Still, it's very nice that we actually get this done.
Yeah. So, this is a kind of a progress check on how far I am with my custom work, too, because, again, I'm going to be trying to do every single member of the 100 power animals, give or take some customs, because I want to do it.
Why does he want to do it? Because, you see, my friend here is kind of insane.
I am insane. It's like, I was that fascinated by this line for so long, and when you had all that supplementary material that they revealed that, they actually concept arted or had ideas around the 75-ish animals that they didn't include, that I kind of want to see how far I can take this. And I've been taking it.
I gave him more of a menacing link.
Yeah. Yeah, because Knight's the odd man out in that I had to redo some of these because of GaoGod showing up. So, like, kind of what I did with GaoGod is I repainted a bunch of things in broads, because then you have gold, silver, bronze to have color match and color distinction. And I think the shade, not bronze, copper, because that's a different shade. So you have, the different metallicness, and considering Gao Knight has a theme around it burning, that's why this whole color scheme fits together. So, honestly, just a progress check on how many I've done at this point for this entire project of mine. Just to see what point I'm at in it. I'm kind of, like, babbling to fill a bit of time as I put these back together. Okay.
DJ Toku's asking, when you're finished with all your customs, will you show off all 100 beats in a video?
Yes.
That'd be a fun video for people. It'd be like...
Yes, I'm mapping it out in my head as I go along, but it's basically gonna be formatted as a diary of how the hell did I think about doing all these. So, basically, number I'm at. Gao King, sword, spear and horn, that's 5. Gao God, 10. Kentoros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 15. Gao Muscle Striker, 20. Burning Gao Knight, that's plus 6, 26.
Mm-hmm.
Gao Hunter, 29. Gao Devil Predation, which I'm calling this combo, 32. 33. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43. And I have Gao Sheep and Gao Orangutan in pieces, half painted, half finished, So I am 45 figures through this 100 plus animal project. Technically, Giant Gao line is 101, so that's almost half that I am through. 1/4 of which was official figures, and the rest have been repaints.
Honestly, I've just been happy watching you go through this entire project because you're really into it, dude.
Yeah, because I generally have an entire printout, which unfortunately it's an inferior printout because it's like it didn't include the images for some stupid reason from the Ranger Wiki. I don't know what is up with that because it should have helped. But yeah, I've been going off of what could I actually do from repaints and remodels of ones that were actually done. Like, I got a spare pair of crocodile legs because I can turn this into Gao Toad with just a custom head on top to make it a new leg set, and then from there I can like have a full recreation from between the spare gorilla, the spare bear, the spare wolf, and another spare eagle that I still have to customize to do all the animals from Kakure Daishogun or Great Shogun?
Kakure Daishogun.
Yeah, I could basically just recreate this, the Ninja Megazord from Gaoranger pieces, which I want to do just as a thing and name it like Gao Ninja, Gao Shinobi, something ninja.
Yeah.
For that.
Media Hood, your wallet must hate you by now.
This is what overtime is for. Yeah, basically.
And
because that was one of the things I just locked off financially, just stuff to do with. But yes, my wallet hates me. Even worse is that, like I said in other things, I got pieces from other mini plot lines just to mimic the mechanisms they showcased, because I am almost dead certain that later Super Sentai designs were recycling some ideas they might have had for the other Gaoranger items, or have just a good mechanism to convert them into something else. Like, when I eventually do Gao Stingray, which is on this list, I'm going to base it off of one of the Karakuri weapons from Hurricaneger, which I don't think they actually used in a Ninja Storm episode.
But we know it's there.
But we know it's there from the Hurricaneger footage. And then some other ones I'm going to make into references to other mecha. Like, this is Gao Cougar. It is based off of a mountain lion. Mountain lions are also known as North Pole lions. And what was a prominent mech described as a North Pole lion as the main piece? That's Galleon from Gao God. So I'm kind of following that logic for some of these. Like, I'm gonna turn one of the rhinos into a rhino and a armadillo into a large mole and a small mole. So then you get the leg with both drills in the feet. And then, I've done all the bears, and so there are 5 bears. I have a spare bear to do Gao Bat with, because that aesthetically mimics the physical pattern of the bears. So what's holding me up on doing that one is just I need to do custom wings, and I want to do the same wing mechanism as the Gao Falcons have, because that would make so much sense for just detaching and becoming a backpack. Honestly, I'm happy that more of the Gaoranger line were not P Bandai locked, because if Icarus was locked that way, I would have not gotten the spare ones I need to eventually do at Gao Owl and Gao Vulture out of that. It's like, this is going to be my insane obsession. If they're going to lock me away in the loony bin, this is what they're going to do it for.
Hey, can I join you in the loony bin?
I'm not sure if you have the required credits for it.
I'll find my way in eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, this is not exactly the last time you'll see me do anything with these, because I swear I'm going to do a video that's showing all these off once I get the entire other half of these done.
You really should, dude.
But this is just my progress so far, and it's not exactly been perfect. This is Gao Lesser, and you can kind of see since I didn't sand down the parts that got painted enough, that the hatch on the back of Bear actually got ripped off, and I haven't finished refixing and repainting that. So it's like, it's a odd spot on the back of it. Lessers are by type of lesser panda, so panda bear. I'm actually Panda and Gao Ape were actually official DX toys, which were promotional gimmick ones that didn't appear. I actually think Panda appeared in the Televicoon special, I think. I don't remember if it actually appeared or was just a promotional ad thing for it, considering I have never seen the Televicoon special on it. But yeah, I'm happy with the logic I've been running through for a lot of these. Gao Crow is another one I'm kind of happy I did, because I extended the nose a bit, and I did a bit of redesigns for the helmet, so it's shaped for the head crest, so it's shaped a bit differently.
Yeah, he just needs to riff on bad movies.
The worst we can find. La la la. Oh yeah, also the arm swapping. I'm happy with the arm swapping. I got these two. I need to do a few more shark remodels for whale and dolphin, because I got a thing for them too. And then from there, it's just figuring out the mechanics from the leftover concept arts, like, you know, getting the evil Gao Bat to go on top of Gao Devil, so it has the full aesthetic. And then when that happens, this Black Wolf is going away, and Hammerhead is going here instead, so 2 shark arms, and then Gao Hunter will get the other bat for Gao Hunter Phantom, as was showcased in the concept art for that. Again, there's going to be a running logic for these.
Yeah, like, and honestly, it's been really nice seeing you, like, get passionate about this, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I want to be done with the videos I want to do next year, so I can just finally spend some time and work through the list, work through the ones I have the spare model kits to remodel them out of, and then from there, figure out how I'm going to do all of the other customs, which are basically going to be skeletons and then bodies mainly made out of epoxy putty, like Milliput, because that's cheap enough to do a bit. And I'm pretty sure that the way that's going to work is, like, all the small animals can basically be accessory pieces that are augmentations for the others, or connect to, say, the body of Gao Swallow, which actually becomes a very small machine. So that has 2 other power animals as legs, 2 of the smaller ones in that assortment, that I think I can figure out how to do them that way. Like, again, there's a running logic for how I think these are all going to work.
But I think we can call it there.
Yeah, that is definitely our time for this stream. We will be back with Resident Evil 2 next week with John playing.
Yep.
And hopefully we will be able to get through more of that without me completely screwing up, because, you know, I'm not the best gamer out there, and
you're not?
I'm not. What? And you can see how I was being botched by a blind play, whereas John's gotten farther in that than us.
And I also just have a better aim.
Yeah, you guys have better aim than me. I am the church. I am the Leonard Church. I will always be the Leonard Church. All right. Thank you for coming by and asking your questions and interacting with us. So, thanks, everybody.